So welcome back. This is my second part of a series that I'm trying to build for creating infrastructure as code using agents. Although I'm not there yet, what I'm going to show you today is how to have an agent create a pull request for you, which is sort of like in between where we need to be. In fact, this is the document that I'm going to be posting on LinkedIn. If you take a look here, last week we created Claude, I believe it was 2.1, where we requested the creation of an EC2 instance Terraform code. You gave us back the Terraform code. It was great and all. We'll test that today. But the second part will be providing the Terraform code into an actual agent. And this agent will be making a call into GitHub directly to do a pull request. A pull request which I'll perform manually, or I'll agree to perform the pull request manually. The term that I'm looking for is the agent is going to create the pull request for me, and I am going to approve the pull request as a human. I like to keep it that way for right now. But let's talk about the experience that I had this week, right? So I went ahead and I created an agent. Creating an agent in AWS Bedrock is pretty straightforward. In fact, it's super easy. Let me just walk you through some of those settings. Again, this is very basic hello world type, but here is the agent or agents, and I only have one. And the agent specifically is the GitHub agent because I just needed to create a pull request for me against a repo that I have designed specifically for AI generated code. When we look at the agent, there isn't really a lot to it. Obviously, it requires permissions. Let's go into the settings just to see what about this agent, right? So you give it a name, you give it a description, which I wasn't super creative with the description. Manage code for Terraform, sure. I am using an existing service role. I believe when I created the agent, I asked it to create it for me. I don't recall, but regardless, it could do it for you, or you could create your own. This is where it starts to get a little deep into the AI part, right? So the model that I'm utilizing is Claude version 2.1. And where it gets very interesting is in the instructions for the agent. You have to be very, very clear as to what you need this agent to do. So if I just expand this window here, the instructions are as follows. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'll give you a high level. At the very least, the very top, you are a GitHub automation agent that assists in infrastructure version control workflows using Terraform code, right? So I am telling it that I'm using Terraform code. You are authorized to perform GitHub pull requests creation using the predefined set of inputs. Now, this predefined set of inputs are critical, and I'll show you same code with two different prompts. It will fail on one because it feels as though I am violating the inputs. It gives me an error code B, which we'll go through that in a second. As opposed to performing the actual PR. So it's quite interesting. It's awesome. I do have 5 different items here that I like this agent to manage for me. And again, I'm not going to go into detail, but input handling is one of them. Branch and workflow, file handling, commit and PR behavior, tone and scope. And a reminder, I am actually giving it a reminder, your only allowed functions are those defined in the tool schema. I will take you to the schema in a second. One thing that is critical here is this required parameter, right? This Terraform underscore code. You have to include this in, at the very least on my tests. If I didn't include the Terraform underscore code, I would get this odd behavior. Sometimes it would create a pull request for me. Sometimes it wouldn't. But once you add the Terraform underscore code, and I will show you the entire prompt, it just worked every single time. Okay, so that's for the instructions for the agent. I'm going to go back and minimize this window. In terms of additional settings, I didn't really create anything out of the norm. I do have an action group, and this is where I'm starting to call the tools. And in order for me to call the tools, I'm using the help of a Lambda function. So if I were to press on this action group, I defined my API schemas via a YAML file, which is uploaded into an S3 bucket. And this is the Lambda function that I'm calling, commit code to Terraform, right? So again, the schema is here on the backend, and the Lambda function is right here. There's honestly nothing more to it. I'm gonna just go to the Lambda function so that you can, oops, did I go to the wrong place? I was trying to go see the Lambda function that I created for this, and just go back. This is the one that I wanna press. If I were to view the Lambda function, it's nothing but a Python program, a function, of course. Let's just take a quick look at it. Obviously, I deployed the Lambda function with infrastructure as code because I didn't want to be editing here directly. And potentially we'll share the code. I don't know. It's not like I'm super proud. It's sort of like hacked away. At the very least, though, I'll explain at a high level. I have a very almost foolproof event handler for the parameters that I'm expecting. So I'm trying a few things just to ensure that the information that I'm providing for the agent, it's going to be capturing. I'm not going to get something like parameters or empty or anything of that nature. I am creating an ephemeral branch based on timestamp. So that's right here. Here is the PR title, which again uses that ephemeral naming convention. I have to provide my credentials. For GitHub, I'm using a token, and I am providing a repo name. This is the OS environment. And then it skips the branch if the naming already exists, which again is ephemeral, very unlikely that it does. Then it prepares the commit and it creates a PR. Most importantly, though, is that return code. This is critical. I ran probably 40% of my time was spent on trying to troubleshoot this return code. Most oftentimes, it would create the pull request. And the agent itself would say that it was failing. The Lambda function, however, always showed an exit code status. It was good. It would tell me that the pull request was created, but again, if the contract between the Open API YAML or JSON file does not match 100% the return from Bedrock, it just breaks things, and you start to identify these anomalies and these failures that are very cryptic. So anyhow, this is the code for the Lambda function. If I were to go back here, there's a schema on what is the name of the bucket. The bucket is called Terraform Agent Bucket. Let's go over to S3 and take a look at that schema real quick. I do have it in code, but it's also very cool just to show you here on the screen. So if I were to go and find that bucket is right here. I only have that one file, that one YAML schema. If I were just to look at it, you have obviously the version, you have the paths, which is to create a pull request, and you have the responses, which are extremely nested because I don't know what I'm expecting, and I am trying to match my Python code. So again, I spent a whole lot of time specifically on this Open API schema, and just, again, I said it on the document, I'll say it here, and I also said keep it between us, but I'm already put it on a video. ChatGPT helped me a whole lot with this schema because I was just going off the walls with this. Okay, so that's pretty much for the AI agent that I created. Now, a couple of things. Let's just do a little bit of cleanup to make sure that this does work. So just want to make sure that everything is clean. In terms of an EC2 instances, or in terms of EC2 instances, there's only one running. This is a previous test from something else. You can disregard, as you will see the new one with the tag that I provided, or that I will provide for this example, which states AI generated. In terms of CloudWatch, let's take a look here. I want to make sure that there's nothing. It's nice and clean for us to be able to see the true output of my transaction. So I'm going to go ahead and wipe this out. I'm going to delete it, and now we have no log streams present. There will be after a successful call of the Lambda function. And in terms of the repo itself, there is nothing. There's only one branch, and that's main. So let's go ahead and get this agent working. Last week, I demoed how to create a Terraform, or how to create Terraform code calling Claude 2.1. So I'm not going to spend too much detail into this because I already demoed it. And I do have a prompt ready for this. As a cloud infrastructure engineer, I want to create an EC2 instance with the following requirements. And I am given the requirements. I'm going to go ahead and copy this prompt. I'm going to call my program, which I called it app.py. What an amazing name, very creative. I'm going to go ahead and what it is asking me, what do you want to deploy? I'm going to give it the set of instructions, and I am going to press enter. Claude is going to go to work, and it's going to give me a full set of Terraform code. So this code states I want to be able to access this EC2 instance from port 22, port 80 on a quad 0, meaning any IPv4 should be able to access this server, this EC2 instance. Let's go ahead and clear this up. Take a look at the code, which was stored in main.tf. It has a provider, outstanding. I did give it the information for the provider in my ARN, since this is under an organizational account. It gives me the EC2 instance. It creates the security group. It attaches security group to the instance itself. And where's my tag? My tag is right here, Terraform AI generated. So this looks amazing. I'm gonna go ahead and quit that out. And I am gonna prep 2 prompts. I created another amazing naming convention file. I call it good bad agent prompt. What a terrible name. But basically what it says, or what it has 2 prompts. One of them breaks all the time, or it breaks the agent, or the agent thinks that I'm doing something malicious. Please create a pull request with this Terraform code. It goes into an error code B or an error code A. Error code A, I'm trying to do something malicious. Error code B, what is error code B? It escapes me right now. I have it on a table that I'm going to put on the document that I'm uploading. Tries to manipulate the agent's behavior. And error code A is malicious or harmful. Let's go ahead and see if we can trigger it. What I'm going to go ahead and do is copy this top layer. I'm going to edit that Terraform file that was given to me by Claude. And on the very top, I'm just going to give it that command. Please create a pull request with this Terraform code. Obviously, the Terraform code is below. We'll save and quit. I'll put that file, copy it. Let's see if shift works here, and it doesn't. So let me just start from the top. I'm going to copy this code. I'm going to go into the agent that I showed you, the one that I created sometime this week. It is called GitHub, another creative name. It just does pull requests for me. And I'm going to test it. I'm going to paste it here, enter your message, and it has the Terraform code, and it has the message at the very top. Please create a pull request with this Terraform code. I'm going to go ahead and run it, and I guarantee this is going to fail. 99% of the time it failed, or maybe it'll work this time. Well, there you go. It failed. Sorry, I cannot disclose that information. It's very obscured. It doesn't really tell you anything. But when you look at the trace, it does give you a description of all of the categories. You have category C, question third, what is it? Functions calling agent, or of you. It's a little cryptic, What is important to see is the category in which this one falls, or what category it gave to this transaction. Let's see, it gave it a category B. So it's saying, so while the intent itself does not seem malicious, this input is trying to get me to perform actions outside of my capabilities. It just didn't like it. And it didn't even call the Lambda function. It was terminated immediately. In fact, if I go into CloudWatch and I refresh my log stream, there is absolutely nothing here. Now let's go back into the terminal and let's take a look at the good and bad prompt file. Now the good prompt says, here's the Terraform underscore code. And I did show you when I was provisioning the agent that I do have something that is required, and that's a Terraform underscore code. Quite interesting. I matched it just so it didn't fail anymore, and it likes it a lot. So here's a Terraform underscore configuration. I would like to generate a GitHub pull request for it using the available tools. Now, I'm going to go back into my output main file, and I'm going to replace this bad prompt with this friendlier code that has keywords on my agent actions that exist in my agent's action. I'm gonna go ahead and save this out. Notice that I didn't change the code. I'm gonna cut it out, see if this time I can copy upwards. And it seems that I was able to. I'm gonna go back into my agent and I'm gonna give it this new prompt. This new prompt, it's friendlier, and again, it has language that I added to the actions. It says, here's a Terraform underscore configuration, correct? I'm gonna go ahead and run it. This time it should work. Sometimes it takes a little while, sometimes it's very fast. Let's see what happens this time around. Excellent. I have created a pull request with the provided Terraform code using post. And this goes back to the Open API and the Python program. This is pull 31. Just keep that in mind. Pull 31. Going to go into CloudWatch and I'm going to refresh my log streams. And in fact, I do have a log stream. Let's take a look and see what that looks like. The transaction started. It ran the code that I provided here. And what is more beautiful about this, the most amazing message of a few hours of struggling with this, was that successful PR created. But let's not just stop here. Let's go into the repo itself. If I were to go into the base of this, I do see a pull request that is pending, right? And there he goes. Terraform PR, Bedrock PR with a time, date, format, ephemeral, so that I don't have any conflicts with pull requests. Now, this is great, but let's not stop here. Let's go back into my AI generated repo. I want to make sure that I do a git status. There's nothing here. Git branch. I am in main, right? So, and there's no files, as you can see here. There's only a README. I'm going to go ahead and, well, I actually have to merge it, right? I have to merge this code. So let's go ahead and approve this merge pull request. I'd like this to remain human. And I'm going to delete that branch. Now let's go ahead and do a pull. Git pull. And that should give me the new information. And there it is, a main file. Let's just take a look and see to make sure that there's no errors on this. It has the provider, the ARN for my role. It has an AMI. I don't like that AMI. That AMI doesn't look like an AMI. I think I gave it the wrong information. I may have to edit that. I know I have to edit it. And there's a security group, VPCs. And yes, this was a bad prompt. So let me just go into here, just grab an AMI real quick and update that on the spot. I don't want to redo this. So I'm looking at Amazon Linux, and here, can I copy this? Can I? Here it is. Just gonna copy this AMI. And that was my mistake. I gave it the wrong AMI. But let's just go ahead and fix that here in place. This should be a valid AMI. Okay. All right, I hope there is nothing else to fix. Actually, there's one more thing. The key name doesn't have that payment. Again, this is my mistake because I included that on the request. All right, there's nothing else. Let's do a Terraform init. Let's pull in the providers. Okay, excellent. Let's do a Terraform apply, because the apply does a plan and it asks me if things are okay. And I either say yes or no. The apply does a plan regardless. Just don't type yes without reading it. Okay, perfect. So I am not going to go into a lot of detail here, but I know that it's creating an instance with some of the variables that I provided. Security group, I'm just going to go ahead and say yes. Let's Let's leave in the danger zone. Okay, it's not complaining so far. Okay, perfect. It looks like it added two resources, obviously the security group and the EC2 instance. We did have a little pickle there with the description of the key and the AMI. Let's just see, this one is initializing. This is a previous test that I ran, so I'll just go ahead and hide that. Terminate it, I don't want to see that. But this one is initializing. Well, let's take a look. I want to make sure that I do have a security group attached to it. And it does have a security group, Terraform example security group, with the ports that I specified, 22 and 80 on quad 0. This instance is coming up right now. I'd love to be able to log in. Let's see if we can. Maybe I'll be able to log in. As it is provisioning, I'm going to go down into my downloads, and I am going to do an SSH. Not this, sorry. SSH into this instance. That is 124.38.108. 124.38.108. I should be able to log into this instance immediately. I'm just going to say yes to accept that fingerprint, and there it goes. Your own EC2 instance created. Well, at some point it's going to be created automatically by an agent, but the beauty of it, or the purpose of this demo, is that I was able to do or have an agent do a pull request for me. Thank you, folks. I hope you enjoy this.